for it. Whose voice
Trying to
is
find a
that?
link for my.
It's creepy.
Sorry, can you guys hear my cat meowing in the background? To which I apologize.
Not at all.
Okay,
No.
fantastic.
Nope. It's great. Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming to the under hyped wine pop-up. And special thanks to Aleah, Chris, and Kaitlin for being like brave participants and jumping into this conversation. A few orders of business before we get started. So I'm Vanessa. For those of you who don't know, I'm the founder of Telesomm. Telesomm is an app where you can buy wine experiences with lovely wine professionals such as Chris and Kaitlin. Caitlin's brand new this weekend, so you can go check out Caitlin's profile and all this stuff. And we are founded on the land of the Lower Tanana Dene, and so we're very grateful to them for protecting this land, like in the past, in the present, and into the future. That's pretty much all I have. Anyone else have updates, announcements?
Not really. I just can't wait to put some, and I can't wait to give some feelings on some wines.
Yeah.
That I really, really despise and really, really love.
See, that's the thing is everyone wants to talk about the ones they despise and no one wants to talk at all about the ones that they like, which is really, really funny. So we're going to try and tease that out while we're hanging out today. If you guys are at home or at work, well, okay, maybe at home you can go grab a beverage. I have tea because I was going to try and like have a splash of wine, but I couldn't justify it at 2 p.m. in the middle of my Monday. Okay, we've got beverages.
2 p.m. That's late.
I have to go like manage scientific data and write like tech documentation after this. So I was like, maybe no splash, no little splishy splashy
No
for
one.
me.
Are you still working through the collection that you've got, the case?
Oh my God, yes, it's gonna take me forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I was recently in Atlanta and Kaitlin advised me on some wine purchases. So I have a stash curated.
It was fun. We're excited to like see all of her opinions on the wine. So
now I'm super curious what's in that case.
It's good stuff. You would approve. You would definitely approve.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I think I saw one bottle earlier that I'm very happy to see. So I don't know if that was from the case or if that was from
it is, yeah.
from just a personal purchase. So
yeah, Kaitlin, Chris was like, I was gonna open the Marie for our call. And I was like, what?
So, man. It's beautiful. It's such a good wine. I love it so much right now.
Yep.
It's just
orange wine. Oh,
so
something tells me we'll talk about it, but orange wine's having its moment right now.
It sure is.
It certainly is. So for everyone on the call, we are going to use this thing called Jamboard, and I just put the link in the chat. And let me know if you can't open that. You should be able to. And basically, this is like a whiteboard that we can all interact with. So you can move cards around, you can create a new sticky note, you can add a picture. You know, if anyone gets raunchy, I will shut this down so fast, so fast. You can use lasers. Oh, whoa, that disappears. So there's lots of like options for you, and I'm hoping to make this as interactive as possible. So the first thing I wanted to do to get us all started is, since we're kind of going to be throwing some shade on like wine industry, I wanted us all to come clean on how much of a like general fan lover we are and how much of a general hater we are. So Chris will do anything for a buck. Chris, Kaitlin, Aleah, and I already kind of negotiated like where we lie on this list. I feel like I'm a little bit of a hater. It really flip-flops around. Aleah was saying the same thing. So if you want to make a card for yourself, feel free. You just click this. Actually, let me share screen so that people who are like dialing in can see this as well. All right, you guys seeing this? So you can click this little guy to write your name and put yourself here. And I'll give people a second. You can grab your card and put it there. You can change your card color, as Aleah just discovered.
So fun. This is so fun.
Oh.
And just as a clarifying statement there, I'm a wine salesman for a living, so That's why I will literally say whatever I need to do to make the sale. Take my statement for what you will.
I was thinking about that, Chris, because later I put a card as like, what are the parts of this hype machine? Because like sales is a big part of it. Social media is a big part of it. So yeah.
It's always fun to be able to pay my mortgage. So,
you know, base foundational level stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Slight priorities.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I see Megan's on the board. Very excited.
Love it.
And this is interactive, so you guys can like come on video, come off on mic, off mute. Feel free to just like, this is a group conversation.
I don't know how to change the color. I'm not that.
Double click.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Got it. Amazing. Oh, cute.
All right.
I love it.
So I'm the biggest hater in the group. Kaitlin is next. And then we've got like the nice guys, Aleah, Megan, and Chris.
And by nice guys, you
Whoa.
mean neutral zone.
Okay, we've got
I think it also
solidly in there.
I think it depends on what the status is here, what we're actually talking about. Because I'm a hater on a lot of different levels, and I stan a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I'm kind of right in the middle. But I mean, give me I think if we throw out some specific points and specific topics, we'll get a little a different assortment here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Megan, did you want to tell us why you put yourself in the neutral zone?
No specific reason. I'm just new to learning all this through Jet, or Kaitlin. So yeah, I got no opinions yet.
Sweet.
You have some, but they're more on the positive side, which is cool. But we'll get there, I'm sure.
Natalie, sort of hanging out in the middle as well. And also, there are plenty of newbies who are just learning about wine who come in real strong and hot with lots of opinions. So just because you're learning wine, like I'm learning wine, doesn't always mean that you're neutral. All right, so I feel like we could move on to the next question. We can always come back to this one. So real quickly, I was hoping that we could all throw up some sticky notes of what we think hype means. That's what we're talking about here. And this can be like quick, like 1 or 2 minutes.
Ooh.
I think. Oh, it's fun. It just like creates so many of these. I love this thing.
Technology.
It's really addictive. Yeah.
Oh, and my cat.
I actually might need to use this Jamboard for more of my events. This is a pretty cool way to do an event, other than making a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, I like sneakily bring in all these different ways of engaging an audience into the pop-ups as a way to like, test out ideas for online events.
Well, thank you for this also, because my day job is in learning and development. So this is also like really helpful for what we do. And I think I'm going to take that back to the team too.
That's awesome. Oh, I'm going to have to follow up with you after the fact. Oh, so I forgot to say, we're going to donate $1 per person to 3 charities. I don't know how I forgot to say this. So one of them is Free 99 Fridge, which is like a community fridge where all the food is free in Atlanta. And that is Kaitlin's pick. Another is GA Ovarian Cancer Alliance, also in Georgia. That's Aleah's pick. Chris, I don't have one from you, but let me know.
I know, because I'm terrible at email. My pick is going to be for Stonewall Sports in Philadelphia.
Ooh, nice. Okay, Stonewall Sports in Philadelphia. And basically, if we have like under 20 people, I'll just donate 20 to each of those entities. So sweet. I always love doing that. I don't know, giving back, even if it's a little bit, it also makes it feel better.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, that's very cool.
That's really awesome. So
I mean, thank yourselves. Okay, so definition of hype. We've got press, influencers, magazine articles and marketing, freebies from companies, celebrity endorsements, and buzzwords. So I'm going to kind of group these together. Instagrammable photo content is kind of like, yeah, like maybe even in between because they're tied to each other. Maybe I'll put like influencers closer to that. Freebies from companies sometimes is tied in with the Instagram thing. And then can the person who wrote buzzwords like just tell us what they mean by that one?
Yeah, so that was me. Like when you're seeing press and things about it, like there's certain overused words, and the ones that are specifically coming to mind right now are anything implying healthfulness, just things that, I mean, we're still working with alcohol here. Yeah, so clean, where you're using certain words that sound really positive as a hook to try to reel people in. That's kind of what I'm meaning. And you guys are going to get to meet my Indy, my cat, in a second here.
I love it. 2 Indies.
Yeah, okay. I love all those wines that are clean or low alcohol, or excuse me, low sugar, and the fit vine.
Yeah, I mean, so I did a little like survey on Instagram, and one person wrote like any bold Napa wines, and I feel like bold, juicy are other things that people are gonna bring up that are a little buzzy. Okay, are you guys
big
ready?
Reds, big red wines.
Big reds, yeah. Yeah, they didn't specify, the person who wrote that didn't specify red, but immediately I was like, they mean Napa reds, yeah. Okay, so I think we kind of have like a shape of the box on what we're talking about. It's things happening in the public sphere that are often guided by the people who make the wine or make the money off of the wine, using a variety of means, Instagram, influencers, celebrities, to kind of get the word out. Or like, I don't want to say coercive, but like guiding language that often comes out of marketing. All right, cool. So this is, these are the wines that people, or like wine types that people brought up already in regard to like what's an overhyped wine. So the bold Napa Red we just talked about, the like Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, Austin Hope, which I don't know about, but you guys can tell me. Although I've heard it's like this one, glue. Okay, you guys have to tell me what that is because I don't know.
Oh, that's a good phrase.
I see it everywhere. I don't even know how to say it. Factory wines. It was just added. If you have other additions, please throw them in here using a sticky note or a text. And
I have feelings about the glue being on there, though. I don't know.
Kaitlin, I might be with you on this one.
Okay.
I don't know what your feelings are yet, but I'm curious because I mean, do you want to define it real quick?
Glue.
Glue?
Yeah, define, please.
It's basically just like chuggable wine. It's a French term, and it's anything that's just chuggable, crushable, just glug it down, right?
Yeah, I call them patio pounders or summer sippers. I'm actually doing a class with some friends on that. Just easy wines, whether they're low alcohol or they're soft, or like those chillable reds in the summer. Like most Beaujolais could be glue, just like easy and simple and refreshing.
I do agree. It definitely, like, the marketing on some of these wines now that they've like kind of picked up on it, they tend to be on the more natural wines or more funky wines. And so I can kind of see that point of it being a little overhyped, but I guess
definitely
I
see it more with natural wines than anything else.
Well, it's possible if the person who provided that feedback, they think it's overhyped. If there's someone who likes hyperstructure or more weight to their wine, then yeah, they're probably gonna think that that's overhyped for the drinkability, crushability. It's not meant to be super complex. So I can see where somebody that prefers a different style might not think
Napa Cab.
Yeah, it was probably the Napa Cab person who was like, glue is overdone.
Like, kudos for them knowing what it is too. It's not like super out there yet, I feel like.
Yeah, and you guys don't have to agree like with each other or with this list. This is just like something to start us off with. So
I love it. It's so perfect.
We had orange and rosés added to the board.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was just a little
Color.
feedback that came in from the chat. Somebody asked if orange and rosé wines could, or if they fit into the overhyped category. And I think it's a yes and a no. Honestly, it depends on what frame you look in, whether you think orange wines or rosé wines in each individually are overhyped. If you think I personally don't. I think that I think orange, like I said earlier, orange wines are having their moment right now. While I also think rosés are overhyped. I think rosé had its moment, and now there's a boon of rosé wines. There's a glut of rosé wines right now. That it seems like every new winery is coming out with a rosé, and guess what? We don't need any more.
True.
And that's again coming from the salesman's perspective.
You know? Well, they tend
That's
to
true. At least they're not
more...
sweet. At least it's not Matisse.
Yeah, it's they're a little more, I don't know, modern at least than the old style sweet stuff.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
I think that's the benefit too to the category.
Well, yeah, that's true. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, to me, I could never get enough orange or rosés. Like, that's where I want to sit right now, and that's just where I want to hang out personally. But again, that comes down to style, and I think you are right, Chris. Though there certainly is almost an oversaturation in the market right now of rosés in particular, because everybody's latched onto that idea of, oh, that's what people need for summer, and that's how you got to do it. So I can see that totally, but at the same time, and that's what I want to drink.
You get those people who are like, oh, I can only drink rosé in the summer, and I'm like, has anybody ever had like an aged Bandol for Thanksgiving dinner, like a beautiful Bandol rosé?
Perfection.
I mean, well, exactly. That's my point there. And to the same point, I think the benefit there is rosé has a full spectrum. You find them sweet, dry, sparkling from all regions of the world. So you really could. I mean, I teach a class with Telesomm called 50 Shades of Rosé. So I'm here on the rosé train. I promise you that. I think where we get the overhyped again is going back to, like we saw Austin Hope and Camus and Rombauer, is specific wineries. You know what I'm tired of hearing about? Whispering Angel. You know what I'm tired of hearing about? The Palm. Or out in Long Island, there's what's the other rosé that's out there? Pretty floral bottle. Wolfer Estate, Summer in a Bottle. Yeah. Tired of it. There's a lot of other ones out there. Hopefully I'm not naming any of these wines that you are all lovely fans of. Please, by all means, bash me for doing it. I'm known for bashing other brands, but it is what it is.
No, wait, where were you on that hater scale again?
Yeah, see, I'm going to go back and just adjust that real quick, because I'm a full-time hardcore hater. Unless I'm in front of people who are paying me, so.
Well, okay, yeah.
I can't actually share our real opinions. It feels very freeing.
Yeah, I think this is a safe space, and like if someone is a big fan of, say, Whispering Angels, like that's okay. You know what I mean? Like everyone gets to have their own opinion here. And yeah, we're free. Our bosses aren't here, so we can talk.
Well, and there's certain ones that you hear. So Kaitlin and I know each other because we worked together at Fermented before she moved to Three Parks. And there's certain names that you hear that come up again and again when you're coming into a small boutique shop. Those are the ones people know: Whispering Angel, Camus. Like those are the ones that people know when they walk in the door, and that's what they're asking for. And some, not everybody, but some people are turned off if you cannot provide them that specific bottle, even though you can provide them something as equally good, if not better, from a smaller family-owned producer. And that's when I get into hype conflict.
Well, 100%.
It's a good base for finding them something different, though. Yeah. It's a good, okay, it's so you like this. We know what you're looking for.
We know exactly what you're looking for.
Because it's such a
popular thing. I think that's the difficulty is that itself. Having that heads-on conflict when someone says, I want this, I know what I want. But then if they're walking into a wine shop where there's people who have tasted everything in the store, they're not walking in with an open mind. And then that goes from hype into just stubbornness, to the non-adventurous side of people. And there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's interesting about this is I think a lot of people are not adventurous because they're scared and they're not willing to be in that space of exploring and learning new things, and they kind of hang on to this, like, this is my identity, I drink this, and they can't imagine outside of that box. Like, what would they be?
Well, and you don't want to invest your money. Oh no, go ahead, Kaitlin.
Well, just like going back to, the overhyped stuff, people tend to think that the really expensive, really high ranked Robert Parker stuff is the really nice stuff. So they come in thinking that their taste is very, prestigious and fancy, and they're a wine aficionado, when really they're just kind of being pulled into that hype of these expensive wines that aren't that great, but that's what they know and that's what they're sticking to, and they think it makes them fancy.
Well, and I think, Kaitlin, to that point, I think a lot of people, there's this stigma in the wine industry that if you don't know everything, you don't know anything. And that if you come in and, you didn't like Screaming Eagle, for example, from the chat, or if you didn't like something else, that means that you don't have the right taste buds to enjoy wine. And that is, are we allowed to curse on this? Bullshit. Thank you. Just because every person is going to have a different style that they gravitate towards. And that can also change over time. I mean, I used to think that The Prisoner was my favorite wine of all time, full honesty. And that's not even getting into, like, I'm going to share an more embarrassing one later. But now I prefer the more natural wines because that's where my palate has grown to. And that's something a lot of people get scared off of, even that exploration, because there are points and reviews and things that tell them if you don't like this, then you're wrong. And I hate that.
Agreed.
Yep.
Agreed.
I mean, there were some of those wines that got me into the wine industry that when I went to culinary school, we were tasting Rombauer. We were tasting Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc. We were tasting Eroica from Chateau Saint Michel, which I think my boyfriend's still on the call. That's a guilty pleasure wine of ours. We, for the first couple of years of our relationship, we kept every anniversary was getting a bottle of that and savoring it. So those were the wines that were, and I put the message in earlier of quote unquote factory wineries. I call them to my clients push button. If you push a button, you put grapes in, you push a button, you get wine out. There's really no creativity or fun or change vintage to vintage. It's push button,
might have to
get wine. Yeah. It's different than the family run, where they're really reliant upon grapes and each different vintage and whatnot, and all their different farmers. But that's where I started. And of course, through the whole diploma, through just general wine knowledge, I work with Skurnik Wines right now. And that's, things have completely changed. And even within our corporate mindset, jumping over to Orange as well, our owners, Michael and Harmon Skurnik, I really hope they don't see this, but they've been staunch haters on Orange wine. And now we're slowly starting to pull some new ones in. We're getting some beautiful orange. I mean, we were talking about the Marie earlier. That's one from Patricia Green Cellars that I fell in love with. The label's gorgeous and it's a good wine. So those things are starting to change the minds of everybody, even the big power players in the wine world, the importers and distributors. So it's a cool thing to see.
The Marie is actually the wine I gave to my mom for Mother's Day. So
very cool.
Mama K might recognize that. It's a favorite, but that's cool.
Well, I think it's interesting, and I'm going to move to the next screen if I can figure out how to click it, is that there's this tension, right, between the people who are like importers and distributors. Like, they need to find things that are sellable, and which means that people need to understand what they are. And so there's always sort of a gap between what's available and what can be sold. And so I think that's interesting tension. Okay, first wine you personally got really hyped about. Yeah, because like we all came from somewhere. So well, if you go deep into the repertoire, it gets wild.
Oh, it does. I actually, I had my degree's in art history, and I had an art blog for the longest time. And then as I got interested in wine, I made it an art and wine blog, and I found it this afternoon. It dates back so far, but the earliest wine parts are 2014. And I was writing about Relax Riesling and Cupcake and stuff that now I would not personally pursue. Good on everybody. But Relax is the one I'm putting on the Jamboard because it was like one of the first wines where I was like, oh, that's actually like really cool packaging. I've never seen a blue wine bottle before. My mom had it in the fridge. And So it was just like a sweet, like a semi-sweet Riesling
Yep.
that I shared with mom. And it was like, oh, I've only been drinking reds. And this just looked very modern. And it started to change the way I look at wine. Oh my God, the cat. Sorry.
I'm wondering everything.
And I think the wine that I'm putting down, the Scholium Project, I of course I told you the story earlier about Eroica and Rombauer and the other wines. I think the first wine that I really got hyped about in a geeky wine rabbit hole kind of way was when I was working at a restaurant. One of the head somm offered me a bottle of Scholium Project, the Prince in His Caves from Farina Vineyard, the Sauvignon Blanc, skin fermented, funky dunky, weird old school new school Sauvignon Blanc, California, made by this geek of a man, Abe Schoner. And I really was like, that's what wine is? Okay, let's go see what's going on here. I'm really adding to the Rolodex, the repertoire of wines over there. I love it. Funky dunky.
Funky dunky. I was thinking about like early on, like beginning of the wine. I think that like getting into natural wine. Yeah, I was like, oh snap, this is totally different. But yeah.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, I love Priorat. I love like big, bold red, like spicy. Yeah, I never got into the cabs, but Tempranillo, man.
But yeah, and I think again, as we were mentioning, there's a lot of different layers that we go through. I mean, I've gone through the funky dunky, the natural stuff. I also go to the obscenely classic, like California Chardonnays, and I'm just going to pull up a bunch of names that I sell, like Ramey Wine Cellars. I'm not a huge super fan of Chardonnay. I love my white Burgundies, so I'm a blatant liar. And I also love Ramey. I mean, the grandfather of California Chardonnay, super classic, super rich. I'm still going to talk crap about Rombauer, but so I'm going to drink a different winemaker who makes the same-ish style. So, like I said, I'm a blatant liar about certain things like that.
Well, the other one that came to mind, and again, it was before I really got like into the natural wine and anything like that. We went out to Napa in 2014, I think also, and we got free tickets from our hotel to go to Markham to do a tasting. And we were just kind of like, oh, okay, never heard of you before. But they had this awesome photo gallery in their tasting room where they had these giant photos from Woodstock up in a traveling exhibition right then. And all the wine was we just enjoyed it so much and enjoyed the experience so much that I will always think about their Merlot and their 1879 red blend that I'm clearly remembering so well, just as like this wonderful experience. And then it was after that the wine finally started showing up in my Kroger and I could get it at home. But I started to get just like really excited about Bordeaux blends from California at that time. And then from there we transitioned to natural wines. So it's a whole spectrum of, we went from Riesling to reds and that's
a funny one too, Aleah, that it's also about where you were when you had those wines.
Yeah.
Or the experience that goes behind it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Last Monday, I was actually part of a seminar on Lodi wines, sponsored by the Lodi Wine Growers Conference, or wine growers, whoever they are. And they sent me a 4-pack of different wines from Lodi. And some of them I knew about, some of them I didn't. But now I'm like, those wines are really cool. Let me go a little bit more into Lodi. Let me do some research. Let me see what's available. And now I'm all on Twitter about Lodi. Yeah. So I am just as easily a hater as I am a fanboy of certain things.
Right.
I love that.
Got new
There's no rules.
Stuff in front of you. There's no rules. You can hate one. You can hate one thing and then love another.
Right.
The same thing. I mean, going to visit a winery. I mean, I travel with the company every so often, and we were in Spain, we were in France, we went to see different vineyards, and it had nothing to do with like an actual work trip. We were kind of going to see friends who happened to own a vineyard whose wines we happened to sell. And we had lunch, we had dinner, what have you. We were incredibly drunk by the end of the evening. And look, it was a great evening. It was a great time with friends and fun. And now I only think about those experiences, and the wines have a higher status in my mind now because of that. Whether I can remember the way they taste or remember the way they were made or not.
Yeah.
Most often not.
Right. And I started at, I think I truly got into wine when I started working at a Spanish restaurant, like a kind of upper scale Spanish restaurant. And so I kind of skipped all of those like typical wine phases and just kind of jumped into some really cool Spanish stuff. And yeah, that's kind of my story there. But it's just that now I still have a very like fondness for Spanish wine, but I'm probably not going to go for those same big bold reds that they offer anymore. Yeah.
The pendulum always swings into different ways.
So we are like riding our own hype machines based on our own like context. Okay, so the next question, words, and this kind of goes back to like a few questions ago. Words, when they're being used, this wine is being overhyped. It's not going to be as good as you think it is. And I think also there's like lots of room for debate here too.
You're going to probably see a theme in the ones that I'm going to throw out here, mostly because I'm on a huge soapbox right now, I guess.
See, it's not just words, it's brands in my mind. Yeah. I can't type them all out.
I mean, if you want to put one or two, Chris, just to give us an idea of what you're thinking of. Yeah. Whoa, some green sticky's got a theme here.
Yeah, she's going. Yep.
I'm gonna say the skinny wine.
Right? Yeah, I actually need to be like, what are these things? Like I see it and I'm like, that doesn't make sense, and I keep moving.
Oh yeah, the get it now before it's gone. Cool. That's a good one.
These Spanish restaurants in Boston. Check that out. It's cool. I like it already.
I don't. Yeah, I think that's where I mean. I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily words that let me know that the wine's being overhyped. I think it's also the feelings.
Yeah. Okay. So we do have a question in the chat from Liz, and welcome to anyone who's joining late. I think this could go in with the green stickies about like natural wines and then all the clean, keto, paleo, etc. So if anyone wants to take that one for Liz.
Well, since I barraged everybody with my stickies. So natural wine, it's a wine category that it's the traditional way or the ancestral way essentially of making wine theoretically. And it is not legislated in any country aside from France. They're the only ones who have provided a definition of what natural wine means. But in general, it should mean that the grapes are organically or biodynamically farmed, that only native yeasts or yeasts that accumulate on the grapes out in the vineyard are used to jumpstart fermentation. So nothing that originally came from a laboratory. There are no additives, legal or otherwise, added to that wine, which in the wine industry, I think there's over 200 legal FDA approved additives that can be used during the winemaking process. And that's not to say necessarily that it's anything. It's approved by the FDA. It's not anything that will necessarily hurt you. It's just those are not naturally occurring in nature. And then minimal additional use of chemically derived sulfites. There are sulfites in all wine. It's a natural byproduct of the winemaking process. But a winemaker may choose to use additional sulfites as a preservative and antioxidant throughout or at the end of the winemaking process to keep things fresh. So I think they want to keep it. I think France decided under 60 parts per million of sulfite usage.
I think they've got two categories now, right? They've got like
they've got the sulfite category and then the non-sulfite category where they don't add any at all.
Yeah.
So did I miss anything, team?
Snaps for that, Aleah. That was amazing.
Thank you, guys.
I mean,
did I cover it though?
Yeah, you nailed it. That's amazing.
Yeah, spot on.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay, and how does that contrast with these low carb, clean, paleo, keto?
So what those
labels.
words, yeah, what they play into with clean, they're implying the low additives, the no additives part. The low carb, that still for me is a bunch of question marks, but keto is
like sugar-free, like
yeah, which most wines are going to be they ferment all or the majority of the sugar out to create the alcohol in the first place. So most, if you hear the context of the word dry, that's going to mean absence of sugar. So they're playing into the fact that people don't know that.
Naomi.
Well, a lot of those wines also that are quote unquote clean or low carb or skinny, it's just a lower alcohol. They're not really, you're getting less bang for your buck to feel better for not feeling better or not drinking better.
And they're also
reality.
just like over marketing, like just more natural wines anyway. They're charging you more for the name and the label and making you feel like you're going to be healthier, you know, when you drink your wine after yoga because you're drinking like skinny girl wine or whatever. I mean, people will pay extra for that. And so they're riding that like health wave too.
Which is the biggest thing. While they are using different words to imply things that may be true about the wine, the point is that they are using selective manipulative language, which is why it's a soapbox issue for me personally. Because they're trying to play on diet culture and the fact that people don't feel confident about their bodies. And I think seems like the team here agrees that sucks.
Yeah.
Well, that's also part of what's going on in the wine industry, period, is people who don't have the knowledge or the education in wine. People are so intimidated about wine, period, whether or not you're diving into the natural, the low carb, the clean, the cult, whatever. People just, they go to one thing because they don't have that knowledge. They know what they like. They know one thing about one thing. And they get overwhelmed. So they'd rather not learn anything and not dive down the rabbit hole and let it be.
That's a good point. Yeah. Kind of elitism in some things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're here at Telesomm to help that.
Yeah.
Well, and anyone like
shameless plug,
anyone
sorry.
who makes you feel bad for your knowledge is just not a good place either. Right. You know, we're all learning all the time.
And Liz, I see you followed up with don't have the knowledge. The sheer amount of wines out there is definitely overwhelming. And you're right. It is. It's overwhelming for people who work in the industry because there is always more. There will always be an exception to the rule. The second you think you have a region figured out, someone's going to come in and do it differently. Yeah. And so and just to repeat back what Kaitlin said, if anyone's making you feel bad about your level of knowledge, those aren't the right people to talk to because that's not the way it should be.
No, it isn't for the right reasons. They're just trying to make money or, you know, look fancy. Which I think is changing. No, not looking at you. No. I saw the same.
Okay, so we have a few other ones here, like Get It Now Before It's Gone, Colty, La Marca. This one I want to talk about. Yeah. Yeah,
I want to talk about that one too. So the whole, I put all those down there.
Okay, go for it.
The Get It Now Before It's Gone is it's not just in the wine world, it's in any industry where it's the kind of, I don't want to say supply and demand, but it's trying to naturally hype it up to make people want to buy it, obviously to not miss out, FOMO. Which is a big deal, and especially with wine, which is 90% of it is vintage dated and 90% of it is gone when it's gone. Quite honestly, it's just the type of product. A lot of websites tend to do that. They're doing wines till sold out or last bottle. A lot of online retailers are saying, look, there's a finite amount of it, get it now, and kind of create their own hype on items that naturally wouldn't have the same drive. Going down the list there, I put cult down because there's a lot of these wines that are known as quote unquote cult collectors or culty bottles, whether they're famous winemakers or famous regions or highly scored, what have you. They have a history of a trend of good press or good quality that make people search them out. And I don't think they're necessarily overhyped. No, that's not true. I think they are. End of
Can
that
be,
story.
yeah.
La Marca, just one of those brands I was mentioning earlier. Well, there's now two of them there, La Marca and Meiomi, that people go to just because it's a cute bottle, or it comes with a little blue and white straw, or it's got a glittery label on it, what have you. When there's tons of other great items out there. So La Marca makes these little, I think they're 187 bottles or something. And I've seen salespeople who sell the product here in Jersey actually go to the bottles and tape a little blue and white straw to the bottle to have like road sodas, if you will.
Road sodas.
It's just cute packaging.
That's a joke
it's
I
fun.
make all the time. I didn't know people did it. That's amazing.
I mean, trust me, I'm a huge fan of the road soda. But I don't want, I mean, I also have nothing against blue and white paper straws. It's just, it's again, more branding, more marketing that is useless. People are going to buy your product regardless. And last but not least, if there's a a company with a TV commercial,
I don't trust it.
You have so much money and should be using it in other ways. Especially a national brand like Meiomi, talking about how this is really, really hard. Oh, we source only the finest grapes from 3 premier regions in California and Washington. We handcraft and press each grape with the utmost care, blah, 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 blah. When in reality, and I put that it's a mega purple bomb, it is so much more chemical and adulterated than it is a quality wine juice, wine grape product.
100%.
And I don't like the line.
As soon as I say commercial, I know it's just going to be the most like manipulated, no like vintage varietal difference or anything like that. It's just going to be, it's out there for the ratings and for the numbers.
Yeah.
And so I'm like,
and that's the other.
I'm not going to feel great the next day. I'm going to skip it.
But it's also not varietally correct. Has anybody had it? It doesn't taste like Pinot Noir.
Well, because it's not anymore.
Actually,
it may at one point have been, but I don't believe and that's what happens when, unfortunately, the wineries that maybe at one time did make good wine are being sold off to the larger corporations that are to your push button becoming push button wines.
You actually just brought up a great point that I was thinking of that I didn't type down is a lot of wineries being sold or bought by the big conglomerates, the top 5. So
sad to see it.
Constellation or Gallo or any of the big boys who don't care about quality, don't care about wine for that matter. They could be selling apples for all that matters, and it's going to be the same exact philosophy.
Well, like shops, as soon as they see that they sold a Constellation, Gallo, or whatever, they stop carrying it because they know it's going to be in every store. It's going to change the flavor profile. Talking about the Prisoner, things like that. That just for one thing before they sold off, they got too big, they got too hypey, they got too popular, and then they lost kind of their integrity, I guess.
Yes and no. You want to hear a really kind of messed up thing, specifically here in New Jersey. Now, again, going into the sales background, salesmen can be shady, and a lot of these bigger companies are. In New Jersey, there is a program called the RIP program, the Retail Incentive Program, where a winery or a company can put a specific number, a dollar amount on your purchases. So let's say we're talking about Meiomi. Meiomi can say, look, for every 5 cases of wine you buy, we'll give you $10 back per case. They will literally pay you to buy their product. Bigger companies like Veuve Clicquot will say, especially in the holiday season, buy 100 cases, we'll give you $6,000. Buy 500 cases, we'll give you X amount of money.
Because I've seen them do that with cases. Like we'll give you, so many bottles if you buy certain cases. I've not seen the
exactly. It's different in every state, but here it's flat out money. And what happens is it creates the retailers who are buying this product. They don't care if they sell it or not because they're getting paid up front. They could sell it for a bargain basement price, move it off the shelf without making any money because they already have a check in hand. that keeps the lights on. So yes and no. They're going to be pissed that everybody around the corner has it as well, because it's a national brand and everyone's going to carry it. But they really don't care, because no matter what, they're still making the same amount of money. That's where it gets dark and dirty.
That's not too surprising, honestly. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. That's
the more you know. And the funny thing is that doesn't face any consumers whatsoever. That's purely dark magic that's happening behind the scenes between seller and wholesaler.
Yeah, because how would they know? Like that.
Exactly.
I mean, on a similar note, I was talking to a coworker the other day about how Atlanta specifically is all about, like, there's a lot of people that are just about like fast money. So if they hear that there's money to be had in something, we've had a lot of people lately who are like, I don't know anything about wine, but I want to make wine and sell my own wine. So tell me what I need to know about wine. And it's just so interesting, because people are seeing that there's always been money in wine, but the people that are trying to jump in, and I don't know, I feel like that's part of hype somewhere, of they've seen the financial aspects of it because of commercials or whatever else now. And they just want to make a quick buck while not even knowing anything about wine, how to make it, or what they like. So
which
that's an interesting trend we're seeing here.
That's really interesting, Kaitlin, because in general, if you're just a small mom and pop winery, you're not making money. You're not making it until you sell it off to those larger companies. That's when you make your money. It takes so much time and investment, funds, like all those things.
Yeah, and they don't see that element of it.
They see like the glamorous vineyard. Come taste at my vineyard. That seems cool.
Not realizing the family is like 14 generation winemakers who have no overhead.
Yeah, wow.
So that's just a trend we're seeing in Atlanta that's been fun to watch. So
that's super interesting. And yes, okay, the next question. And we only have 10 minutes left. So you guys can decide if you want to talk about what are the different parts of the wine hype machine, life cycle of hype, difference between culty, iconic, and overhyped. We kind of talked about that. Or wines that actually live up to the hype.
Ooh, let's do.
Who put Yellowtail on?
That was a joke.
Or that Woodbridge?
I love that so much.
Yeah, let's talk about some good stuff, maybe.
Okay, let's talk about the good stuff.
To hype the good stuff.
Well, and it's hard because once again, I feel like there has to be that asterisk that just because I like it or Kaitlin likes it or Chris likes it doesn't mean that everybody on this call will. Everybody's taste buds are different. But
yeah, and that actually goes back to one of the first sticky notes that are up there, Austin Hope. I think it's for the value, great option.
Are you a fan?
I am a fan.
Well, for the value, yes. I put that on there. It was me, guys. But that's only because it's our Caymus equivalent at Fermented. And so that's the one that people go to all the time and refuse to deviate. And so that's why, to me, it's overhyped, because people are stuck in their unwillingness to go forward.
And that's funny, because I do the same thing when I'm going to sell wine. Is you have Caymus, or you have Rombauer, or you have Silver Oak, or which everyone in my industry, in my area, calls Silver Joke. You have all of these big national brands that a lot of my locations, my sales or my customers are looking to change. So I have my classic California Chardonnay that will swoop right in under the radar. And if you like this, then try this. Yes, Robert Sinsky. Thank you.
Yes, 1000%.
I want some Vin Gris right now. I'm sorry that it's gotten so expensive, but
the fires.
I know.
I got a bottle.
We sold out in
like, are you 2020. Yes, I did.
Oh, really?
We're going to Leah's house after this, right?
Oh, wow. But yeah, that's where I find those little categories that are, again, just as good as their equivalents. Caymus has gone more and more expensive every year. And again, it's another mega purple bomb, but it is what it is.
Chemical. Yeah, I had a customer once at a wine bar I worked at that would buy a bottle of Caymus maybe once every few nights, and then she would give me like the rest of the bottle and just be like, here you go. And it's just like this such a kind gift, and I was like, oh no, that's not.
Thanks,
that's not what I
but
want.
thanks, but no.
Yeah, that's cool that you like it and you think it's hype and cool because you're rich, but I don't know.
All right, I put the domain Tempeh Bandal on there. I can't afford it by any means, but if there's gonna be a list of something that's great in terms of a rosé to save up for, to love, to cherish, that's the goal rosé for me, on top of the Sinsky Vingry.
We gotta do it just because we gotta.
Only because I brought it up earlier, the aged Bandal for Thanksgiving. Bibernon.
Yeah.
I don't know if I spelled green right, but if she has me on the end or not, but she's one.
I can't remember if she does. Why is that blank?
She doesn't.
She doesn't. Okay.
There's no E.
Sorry, Patty.
Ooh, Brock Sellers. Hey, baby.
Sellers.
Hey,
Yep.
baby.
Love it. All right. Well, and to wit.
These are like all cards that I want to put on the next slide too.
Oh, in terms of the ones that
in terms of don't
want people to know about.
I want more for my
so we can keep it to ourselves.
Yeah, so everyone be cool.
No, there's a danger in like hyping these wines up, because then people are going to realize how good they are, and then we can't get our hands on them anymore.
Well, and that's
not
why
only can we not get our hands on them, but the price is also going to skyrocket if a winery figures out that once they get huge press or they see sales skyrocket, they're going to, things are changing.
Yeah. So everybody who's listening to this or will watch it later on video, just buy slow, be cool. Just,
ignore all of these names. Just don't worry about it.
I thought we were nuking this after we were done.
Oh, okay.
Time capsule. We'll put it in a time capsule.
Isn't that what happened with champagne years ago? That's a good question.
What was
y'all's thoughts on that? I heard someone mentioning, we were talking about what happened, like champagne, it got really hyped and now it's like crazy expensive. I was talking about this with someone else the other day and I wasn't really sure, honestly, if champagne is as expensive, if it's just the region, if it actually is because of the hype, is it, I don't know. So that's a good.
Well, champagne has always had I feel like has always had the renown, has always been kind of like the pinnacle of wine throughout the ages, theoretically.
But then we've got like champagne that like California producers are making with that name, and people are thinking, I don't know, so maybe that's where it's coming from too.
Well, I think it's going to be, even just moving forward, the price of champagne is going to be devastatingly high because of what's going on with yields currently.
It's getting warmer. Yeah.
It's getting warmer. I think we're going to start seeing other regions that are making sparkling. German sparklings are great. They're not champagne, but we're going to start seeing champagne styles come from all over the place.
Ooh, Oregon. Love an Oregon.
Yeah, absolutely. The price of champagne, you're paying for the grapes. There's not many there are a lot of grower producers, but a lot of them are all sourced grapes, co-op style. And the price of champagne grapes has increased like 80 or 90% over the past 20 years. So that alone keeps pushing the price up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a complex answer, I think, and I like it.
Yeah, like the more I thought about this event, the more I thought like this is such a complicated landscape, because like part of the hype is about educating the consumers and uneducated consumers. But then it's like, if you educate them about these specific wines and they get overhyped, they get bought out. Like it's this weird cycle. And how do, like, in my mind, I'm now like, okay, is there examples of wineries that didn't get overhyped, didn't like sell out? Not that it's bad to make money for your family or to like have a profitable business, but didn't change their standards and values. So that's kind of my next question.
Yeah.
So like a thought on that is, even if these places do get overhyped and they kind of sell off and they're not great, we have so many new winemakers out there, winemakers from like different like marginalized groups or things, people without the generational wealth, without the history in it, who are getting into the wine world and making a splash, changing things up, creating their own I don't know. I think there's always going to be something new that's going to come, even if we fall in love with something and it gets, say Brock Cellars gets sold out, the next day, we have, we can jump on something else that we're into. So I guess I don't always worry too much about that, just because there's a lot of cool stuff happening, I think. And I think that the natural wine realm has helped kind of foster it. That's just kind of I don't know.
No, I think that's a good point. It's good for the people. I think where it's good for those of us that love to explore, and we're like, okay, we're not going to panic. Brock sold out in 24 hours, just to use that as the same example. But because then I know I can go to Forlorn Hope and Jolie Lade, and I can go to Martha Stewman, and there will be other things out there that I can totally enjoy in that same style. And then, but for those that are new or that are wading in, if they see that their, Camus is out of stock, they don't know where to go next. And I think that's where the conversation really, the gap needs to be bridged, is to help however we can to make wine less daunting of a topic for new people that are wading in. Yeah.
Well, is there also something going on with all of the wines that we happen to love, like Joey Lade, Brock Cellars, Martha Stewman, where the labels are just absolutely stunning to look at too?
Oh, they're playing into it. They figured it out. We've talked to them about it.
Cute labels. I love them.
Oh yeah. Well, and I love that for Scott at Jolie Lade in particular, they're fostering, or they're using labels made by different artists every vintage.
Local artists.
Yeah, which is so amazing. Well, and I think we're seeing more of that too. And also charitability with a lot of
that's also so crazy, because take a step back. What's one of the most famous wineries that has ever done that before? It was a trick. It's not a trick question, but it's out in I'm forgetting which exact winery. It's one of the top 5 in Bordeaux. I think it was Mouton Rothschild.
Oh, really?
Who every vintage has a different famous artist create their label.
Oh,
okay.
I'm doing some research real quick. Hang on a second.
Do some research real quick.
Well, then we've got La Boutanche with like the different animals, like the gorilla and the leather jacket. So we can go into that work of true art.
I think a lot of the natural wine producers and the younger generation of producers are playing into the fact that they reasonably know that people will buy based on label, and then at least they're getting their better quality juice to people, and then also seeing ones that give back, like Brienne Day at Day Wines. Her deep blue Pinot gives back to help save the oceans. Like, oh my gosh! Of course, I'm going to buy a wine that saves the oceans.
I haven't even seen that. I have to look into that now.
And yes, I wasn't going crazy. It is Chateau Mouton Rothschild, where every vintage is a famous art piece from a famous artist. And every vintage has information. You can go back several, a lot of vintages. There's actually a piece done by Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, who had the bottle in 2004. So it's ridiculous how it's not it's not a new thing of famous art pieces being labels. It's very cool, actually.
I mean, wine is art when it all boils down,
Agreed. Ooh, they've got one from Keith Haring, 1988. Probably way too expensive.
No doubt too expensive.
Yeah. I think that should be another pop-up.
Yeah.
Like wine and art or labels. Ooh. Judge a book by its cover.
Oh my gosh, that would be so fun.
You can't keep taking away my ideas. I'm actually putting together a new class about that.
That's cool. We can all play.
No, I know.
This is a teaser for Chris's class.
Yes.
Just right here at the end.
I've got a whole notebook of new thoughts that I've got to put together. Notice how the pages are empty though.
Just bought the notebook. That's it. Okay, we have people in the chat, I think, saying yes, that would be cool. Ooh, art label deep dive. Got a +1 from Liz.
Cool.
So we're out of time. I have to go back to work.
Oh,
you guys can stay here and hang out like for forever if you want. But this has been awesome. I totally loved this. I feel like we went broad and deep. We touched on so many things, and I appreciate everyone who came to hang out with us and like spend an hour of their evening that's super valuable to me. More valuable than money is your time. So Aleah, Kaitlin, Chris, do you guys have any like last thoughts that you want to share with us?
Reiterate.
My last thought is on.
Reiterate what?
Go ahead, Aleah.
No, I was just going to say, reiterating to the class, be cool about all these great wineries that we put on this last page. To just be cool, and thank you for joining us. So,
and you're welcome
Chris,
for all the cool stuff to make you sound fancy.
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't even touch on hipsters in the wine world. There's so many. I didn't realize how deep this went. So, like, there's so much more we could talk about. I love it. It's just a great
part
topic,
2.
right? But this has been great. It was awesome to chat with all of you guys. So.
Yeah.
I think my final word is going to be like what you like. We can curse here, right?
Let others do the same.
Yes.
Fuck the haters. Brush them off. Leave them alone. Do your thing. If you like your wine, I say it to a lot of people all the time. Look, you're drinking wine. That's what matters.
You're drinking.
You're not drinking beer. You're not drinking water. You're drinking wine. So we're not out here being rocket scientists. We're out here drinking wine and enjoying ourselves. So
let's make all of these into t-shirts. I love it.
Kaitlin, any last words from you?
Oh, snap. I mean, he said it really great too. Just like what you like, because it doesn't matter. I mean, it's kind of like with pairing. If you like the wine, if you like the food, enjoy it. We only live once. Wine is meant to be enjoyed. It's meant to be enjoyed with people and with friends. So don't worry about people not liking the wine you bring over to the table, because it has its own story, just like everything else. So,
and then also more for you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that you guys have been so frank about like being haters and also then like totally liking something in the same style, same region. And it's true, right? It's so true. And so I think you guys are being very kind to say like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, like drink what you like.
We've just got big feels, I can see. I love it.
Yeah.
On all of it.
So we're getting lots of thank yous. Thank you everyone from everyone in the chat. And again, you can find Kaitlin and Chris on the Telesomm app, and Aleah at Fermented ATL if you're in ATL, Atlanta, that is. Awesome. Well, thanks everyone, and have a great night.
All right.
Thanks everybody.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Great evening.
Oh, Mom, I see you. I love it.
Bye.
Hi, Megan.
Where's
Megan? Okay.
Oh, I think she already left.
Oh.
Okay, bye. Oh. You're a host, Mom. It says I have to assign and leave. You're the guest.
I'm trying to figure out how to.
Oh, look at the perfect background too. You've got your wine glasses.
Right? I thought that was pretty cool too. Didn't even play in it.
That's perfect. All right, I don't know how to assign and leave. You're the host now. You're in charge, okay? You're what? Oh, the audio, I can't hear it.
You can't hear me?
Oh, there you are.
Yeah. So I can just keep talking and you have to keep
listening. Just all by yourself. You've got it. Don't mess it up. This is your show now, okay?
Yeah.
This is being recorded.
Right?
Okay. I love you. I'm gonna